students. Today we will continue with our paper genetics. In previous lecture we studied about the various Mendelian interactions, the Mendelian laws. Today we are going to deal with the non-Mendelic interactions or the interallelic interactions. Basically, any kind of phenotypic character which is produced is because of the interactions of the different genes. It is not the single gene which brings about the expression of a phenotypic character, but it is the interaction of the genes that brings about the expression of a phenotypic trait. So this gene interaction or allelic interaction is basically of two types: the intraallelic or alleelic interactions, which are between the same alleles which controls the single phenotypic expression. This was explained by the Mendel crosses. And the interallelic or non-allelic interactions are those which is the interaction between the two or more independent gene pairs which are located either on the same or different chromosomes for the expression of the single phenotypic trait. Those are referred to as interallelic or non-allelic gene interactions. So basically, these interactions, gene interactions, is a chemical pathway in which there is a precursor which is affected by the enzyme 1 and it gets converted through different intermediate products, two or more intermediate products, into the end product, which is the phenotypic trait. So each step of the formation of the intermediate product is mediated by an enzyme which is under the control of a specific gene. So if any mutation occurs in any of these genes, then the expression of this enzyme changes, and as a result the formation of the product changes. The normal phenotypic expression is not attained. Suppose if there is mutation in this gene 2, then it will result in the formation of the abnormal enzyme 2, and as a result there will be no formation of the intermediate product 2 and there will be no phenotypic expression. But if there is modification in this enzyme 1 and as a result there is accumulation of only intermediate product 2, and if this gene 2 is provided with the intermediate product 1, normal intermediate product, then it will convert it into intermediate product 2. This means that the function of this gene 2 is independent of the mutation which is brought about by this. They work independent of each other. So different interallelic or a non-allelic interaction which occurs, which we are going to study, are first is the complementary genes. Complementary genes are basically the genes which when present collectively will produce a phenotypic trait, and when they are present independently, the dominant genes, when they are present independently, separately, they will not produce that trait, phenotypic trait. This is the complementary genes. For example, in the sweet pea plants, there are different colored flowers. So we are taking the parents as the pure white flowers with the gene composition, genotype of small cc capital EE and capital CC small ee. That means the dominant factor, if these two dominant genes are present collectively, then only the color will be produced, otherwise the color is not produced. The gametes formed will be these, and the F1 generation, all the F1 generation plants will be purple in color, which will have two dominant genes and two recessive genes. Then when self-fertilization is done, the gametes formed is these, and in F2 generation what we get is purple flowers. We get in 9:7 ratio, the purple is to white flower. This is because these two dominant genes, capital C and capital E, controls different steps in the formation of the pigment. Capital C is the gene which is responsible for the formation of the raw material of the pigment, and E is responsible for producing the enzyme which is there so as to control the conversion of this raw material into the pigment, purple pigment. So both these dominant genes, when they are present collectively, then only the color will appear. Otherwise, when one of the gene is missing in a combination, then the color will not be produced. Therefore, wherever there is capital C and capital E, either double or single, the color will be produced. Whereas, where the condition is that only one dominant gene is present, whether C or whether it is E, the color will not be produced, because in that case either the raw material is missing for the pigment or the enzyme which is there needed so as to convert this raw material into the pigment is absent. This was also proved experimentally by extracting the extract from these plants and placing them into the test tubes. When the extract from the white and the purple flowers were kept separately, then these two white plants were kept separately, then no color was observed. But when the extract was kept together in a test tube, then after some time the color was developed. That means the genes for the conversion and the raw material were present in these plants and they were expressed later on. That means both the genes are required. So this is the complementary genes. Complementary genes means both the genes, dominant genes when present together will produce the phenotypic trait, and when they are present individually they are not able to produce the trait. Then comes the duplicate genes. Duplicate genes are the two pair of genes or factors which lie in different chromosomes and produce a single trait with or without a cumulative effect are known as duplicate genes. So duplicate genes can produce the effect with cumulative effect and without cumulative effect. With cumulative effect, these dominant alleles which are of two genes which are located at different loci, whether they are homozygous or heterozygous, they together produce a phenotype and separately they produce another phenotype, which is same for the both species. When they are present separately, they will produce the same single phenotype, which is sandy. This is the example of the coat color in Duroc Jersey breed of pig. In this, what happens is that whenever the dominant genes are present separately, they will produce another phenotype which is same for both the alleles. This is sandy. And when they are present collectively, they produced another phenotype, which is red coat color. So when we take two homozygous parents, there is a sandy male pig and the sandy female pig. The gametes formed of these, the F1 generation, all will be red coat color because both the genes are present. They produce the cumulative effect. In F2 generation, when they are crossed, wherever there is one capital S and one capital R, the red coat color will be produced, and wherever there is single dominant gene, then the sandy coat color will be produced. So sandy will be this because it has single S. This, it has just the S, capital S. It has capital R only. This also has capital R only. This has capital S, capital R, and this recessive is produced. The recessive genes produces the white coat color. So in this case, the red is to sandy is to white coat color are produced in the ratio of 9:6:1. This is the example of duplicate genes with the cumulative effect, 9:6:1. The dominant gene is required to produce one phenotypic character. When collectively present, they produce another phenotypic character, and the recessive does not produce any character. It is white in color. Without cumulative effect is observed in shepherd's purse. It has two types of seed capsule, the triangular and the top shaped. In this, what happens is that all genotypes with one or more dominant alleles will produce same phenotype, and the recessive will produce the other phenotype. So whenever there is, the parents are these, the triangular and the top shaped, gametes produced are these. F1 generation will be all triangular. Whether one or more dominant genes is produced, they will produce the same phenotype, that is triangular. So all will be triangular except for this, which is recessive trait, will be top shaped. So the ratio which is obtained is triangular seed capsule is to top shaped will be 15:1. This is the duplicate genes without cumulative effect. This is because the two pairs of independently segregating dominant genes are responsible for triangular shape of seed capsule. So all the genotypes having one or more dominant genes will produce the triangular seed capsule, whereas the plants with the recessive alleles will produce the top-shaped capsule. Therefore, the ratio came out to be 15:1. Then is the inhibiting or epistatic genes. They are basically a pair of genes at one locus which prevents the expression of a pair of genes at another locus. These are also referred to as inhibiting genes, and the prevention of expression of one pair of genes by another pair of genes is referred to as the epistasis. It is different from the dominance because in dominance, the expression of one allele is prevented by the other allele of the same gene. But in this, one pair of gene suppresses the expression of the other pair of the genes. The gene which suppresses the expression of the other is called epistatic gene, and the gene whose expression is suppressed or prevented is referred to as the hypostatic gene. So this can be explained by this example. The white falls are basically of two types, the white leghorn and the white plymouth rock. These are the two white, this is the dominant character and this is the recessive character. So this is the genotypes, the gametes formed. The F1 generation will be all white. The gametes formed of the F1 generation after self-fertilization, and the F2 generation, the ratio obtained is white is to colored is 13:1. 13 will be white and 13:3. 13 will be white and 3 are colored. This is because the C, capital C, this capital C produces the color in the feathers, but the inhibiting gene I interacts with the gene C so as to suppress its expression. So wherever capital C is present along with the capital I, the expression of the color in the feathers will be inhibited because of this dominant character, dominant inhibiting gene, and as a result the color will only be produced in those combinations where only capital C is present along with the small I. So the colored and white are produced in the ratio of 13:3 because this inhibits the expression of the C. Similarly, in the coat color in mice, the gray color is dominant over the black color, but this small a whenever present with any of the combination of the B, whether capital B, capital B, small b or small bb, always the white color will be produced because this is required for the production of the color. So what happens is that in this case, whenever one grey and albino mice are mated, the gametes formed as these, all the F1 generation will be grey in color because it has both the dominant factors. This A is necessary for the production of the color. So when F2 generation is produced, there are three varieties that are produced: the grey, black and albinos. Grey is dominant over the black color, and albinos are produced when the gene for the production of the pigment is absent, that is A is absent. So black is produced whenever there is capital B is lacking. In that case the black will be produced 1, 2 and 3, and albinos are produced whenever capital A is absent, irrespective of the fact whether dominant B is present or not. So the ratio obtained is grey is to black is to albino in the ratio of 9:3:4. This is referred to as recessive epistasis because this recessive small a controls the expression of the character, therefore it is the example of recessive epistasis. Similar is the case with the dominant epistasis, but in this case the dominant gene controls the expression of a character. For example, black coat color in dogs is dominant over the brown coat color. So when white male breeds with the white female, capital BBII and capital B, small b, capital I, small I, the gametes produced are these. In F2 generation, we will get black coat color is dominant over brown, but still black is produced in the ratio of only 4 black, only 3 black and 1 is brown coat color, and the rest are white. This is because this dominant gene, capital I, inhibits the dominant allele I of the epistatic gene inhibits the expression of the hypostatic gene, capital B or small b. As a result, wherever capital B and capital I are present, they will all be white because this capital I suppresses the expression of the capital B. So the color will only be produced in the condition where capital B is present along with the small I, which will not inhibit the expression of the color. As a result, these three are black in color, and because it is recessive trait, it is brown, and rest all are which has capital I are white in color because they does not allow the expression of the color which is controlled by the gene B. So the ratio obtained is 12:3:1. So what we have studied till now is that in complementary genes, the dominant gene when present separately produces one phenotype. When present together, they produced a complementary genes have the ratio of 9:7, purple is to white. When they are present together, the dominant genes, then they produce a trait, and when present separately, they do not produce any trait. In duplicate genes with cumulative effect, when the dominant genes are collectively present, they produce different phenotypic expression, and when they are present separately, they produce other phenotypic expression which is same for both the dominant genes. Without cumulative effect, what happens is that the dominant genes, whether they are present separately or together, they are going to produce the similar phenotypic trait, and when they are absent, they will produce the recessive trait. So with cumulative effect, the ratio is 9:6:1, and without cumulative effect, it is 15:1. Inhibiting or epistatic genes, there are three examples. First, we got the ratio of 13:3, in which the expression was inhibited by the presence of the dominant gene. This is also the example of dominant epistasis. Then the expression was controlled by the recessive pair of genes. This is the example of recessive epistasis. The ratio is 9:3:4, and then the dominant epistasis, the ratio is 12:3:1. Thank you so much.